Are you a freelance graphic designer who is sick of clients dragging their feet when they need to send you the content that you need to do their projects? Are you sick of clients who say they're going to send you their copy or photos for a design project, but then they ghost you for weeks? Are you sick of your project timelines dragging out for months because the client isn't sending you the feedback or the info that you need to finish the project? Let's help you solve this. I'm Alyssa Downey. I am a self-employed brand and web designer, and I help other ambitious self-employed designers like you nail their processes, wow their clients, and grow their businesses with confidence. And in this video, we're talking about why your clients aren't sending you what you need, whether it's website copy or branding feedback or anything else. And we're talking about how you can get these things by the deadlines that you need them by to finish the project on time. The first reason why your clients are dragging their feet on getting you these things is because perhaps you haven't established a specific deadline. Let's look at website design for an example. Website content, website copy and photos are things that you need to design their website. But if you just say, I need your copy and photos in order to start building your site, the client is going to say, okay, great, I'll get that over to you. And then they won't. And you'll check in a gazillion times and the client will keep telling you, I'm gonna send it, but then they will keep not sending it. And this happens because you never gave them a hard deadline. Of course, we would like to think that the client is going to prioritize their website content, right? If they are paying you for a website, they want their website done, right? But remember, the client is not a web designer. That's why they hired you. They are looking to you, the web design expert, to guide them through the process from start to finish. And that process needs to include specifically what you need from them and specifically when you need it. So if you need to have website content by the project start date, make this deadline very clear. Say your website copy and photos are due on our project start date of X date, the specific date in the calendar. You can apply deadlines like this to pretty much anything that you need from a client before or during any project. So another example is feedback on branding design proofs. You can set a client deadline that says you must provide feedback within 2 business days of receiving design proofs. I would love to hear from you in a comment. What do you need from your design clients that historically you have not been getting on time? What client deadline are you going to set for that? Okay, so establishing that deadline is step 1. Now, step 2 is getting the client to agree to the deadline. It is not enough to just tell the client your content is due by X date. Next, you need to put it in your contract. Disclaimer, I am not a lawyer, this is not legal advice, so please always talk to an attorney about exact wording and legality for your contract. But in general, if you want to be able to enforce your client deadlines, they need to go in your contract. When I first started working for myself, I used to ask my clients to have their website content done by our project start date, but then that date would roll around and they would not even be close to done. But I didn't have this policy in my contract, so I couldn't do anything about it other than say, oh, okay, I'll give you 1 more week. And then that 1 more week would turn into 2 more weeks, then 6 weeks. Then suddenly 4 months later, the client was still working on their website content and the website wasn't even close to being done. Can you relate to this? Now I have all my client deadlines outlined in my contract. And as a bonus, I also have lines where the client has to initial next to these clauses in the contract as extra assurance that they have read them. All right, now I hate to break it to you, but these 2 steps are still not enough to make sure that your clients meet their content deadlines. Putting them in the contract is not enough. You also need to make sure that you are clearly and transparently telling your clients about these deadlines at multiple touch points. For example, for my web design projects, I tell prospective clients that if we work together, their website content will be due before our project start date on our initial consultation call, before they have even booked the project. This is our very first conversation to get to know each other. This deadline is so important that we need to talk about it right away. This deadline is also in my proposal. Again, they see that before they have even decided to book. And then once they book, after they've signed the contract and initial next to that clause about the deadline, I tell them again on our face-to-face onboarding call. So that's 4 different times that they are being told about this deadline, both in writing and verbally, before we have even started the project yet. These client deadlines, they're really important, right? You need these things from your clients in order to deliver on what you promised. Without these deadlines being met, the project doesn't go according to plan. The timeline gets dragged out. The client is disappointed that the project took longer than you initially told them. And even though it's technically the client's fault, it's your job to manage the project. And that's why when it comes to communicating the deadlines with your client, you truly cannot say it enough. So now we have established the deadline for the content or their feedback or whatever it is you need from them. You've put it in your contract and you've told the client about it multiple times, but that's still not enough. Step 4 is to follow up. Now, it would be great if the client would just put their deadlines in their calendar and always have the project at the top of their mind and they do all their homework on time, but that is just not the reality. And remember, you are the expert that the client hired to guide them through the project successfully. And that means you need to do a bit of hand-holding. When a project timeline falls behind, again, even if it may be the client's fault, if you didn't do any follow-ups or check-ins, it reflects poorly on you because you're the one that's supposed to be leading the project. If you have a client deadline coming up, check in with the client and remind them. For example, if you need your branding clients to fill out a questionnaire by the project start date, and that start date is in 2 days and you can see that they haven't done it yet, send them a reminder email that says, I can't wait to start in 2 days. A friendly reminder that your questionnaire is due then. I'm really excited to review your answers. As another example, if you sent a design proof and your feedback deadline was yesterday and you didn't hear from the client, follow up with them right away and say, checking in on your feedback that was due yesterday, kindly send it by this afternoon. I'm excited to hear your feedback. Okay, so we've covered a lot of communication tips so far when it comes to getting your clients to meet their deadlines, and all of these things are essential, but they're also useless if you don't have any repercussions. So step 5 is to make sure you set clear repercussions for what will happen if the client misses their deadlines. What if they don't fill out their branding questionnaire by the start date? What if they don't get you their website copy in time? What if they don't send you feedback by the feedback deadline? Will there be an extra fee? Will the project be rescheduled? If so, for when? If so, is there an extra cost to do that? Put all of these things in your contract as well and include all of this information in all of those other communication touch points that we talked about. This repercussion is the incentive that will kick the client into gear when they're dragging their feet. The client doesn't want to pay more than they have to. They don't want to reschedule their project for a later date. So when you have this outlined in your contract, it is very, very powerful to be able to say, as a reminder, if I don't receive your content by X date, this is what's going to happen. So give these additions to your process, contract, and communications a try, and know that it may take some tweaking and some trial and error to find the exact policies and communications that work for you. But I promise you that when you hone in on these things, your brand and web design clients will meet their deadlines, and you won't have projects dragging out for months anymore. If you want to dig deeper into working better with your clients, I would love for you to sign up for my free 5-day email series called Freelance Essentials. It is linked in the description below. You'll get 1 email a day for 5 days about how to better solidify your boundaries, avoid mistakes, and provide a smooth client experience. And I invite you to connect with me on Threads and Instagram at Make Your Design Matter to continue this conversation about building your sustainable and fulfilling design business.